A man is in custody after deputies say a woman was shot outside this Circle K on Mercer University Drive and then struck by a vehicle.
A woman is lying in the middle of Mercer University Drive. It's a Sunday, just after 5:30 inches the afternoon. Sun still up. People driving home from church, from cookouts, from wherever regular people go on a regular Sunday in Macon, Georgia. And then there's her, bleeding in the road. Her name was Teagan Jones, 33 years old, born and raised in Macon, with a big family who loved her hard, a sister, 2 brothers, nieces and nephews she helped raise like they were her own. The kind of woman whose absence leaves a hole you can't fill. She didn't have a big social media presence, and I think that detail matters more than people realize. We'll come back to that. What brought her to that Circle K parking lot at 3391 Mercer University Drive that evening was her boyfriend, a man named Delmar Tavares Eugene Black, 35 years old. And here's what you need to know about Delmar right now before the 7th of June, 2026 even happened. Law enforcement already had active warrants out for his arrest. Outstanding warrants. Turner County was already looking for this man. Did Teagan know that? Maybe, maybe not. The argument started in the parking lot. We don't know what was said. What we know is that it moved fast. Delmar pulled out a handgun and shot Teagan. Multiple times, close range, in public. On a Sunday evening with the sun still in the sky. And Teagan ran, wounded, bleeding. She ran straight out of that parking lot onto Mercer University Drive. She was trying to survive him. But here's where it gets really interesting. Delmar Black wasn't the only danger waiting for her on that road. Stay with me until the end of this video, because I'm going to share a safety tip that could genuinely save your life or someone you love if you ever find yourself anywhere near a situation like this one. And if you don't already know the warning signs that were showing up in this relationship long before June 7th, you might be missing them somewhere in your own life right now. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, not for me, for you, because the next story might be closer to home than you think. Welcome to True Crime Footprint, where we unveil the darkest mysteries and the most terrifying true crime tales. Kindly hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of our new stories. Your support keeps these stories alive.
I'd have been patient, bitch. I'd have been starving, heartless. I feel so heartless. All them nights I was out of my body and mind. Why the fuck you ain't call me? Well, fuck it, I just had to see it through. My demons, they Lord, they leap the truth. They take a shot as soon as I peek at you. I pull out 5% 10. Officer, what do you mean you can't see into it?
She made it to the road, and that's where the second thing hit her. A civilian vehicle heading westbound on Mercer University Drive struck Teagan before the driver even had a chance to react. 1 second she wasn't there. The next she was. There was nothing that driver could have done, nothing. So now you have a woman with multiple gunshot wounds who has just been hit by a moving car on a public road in broad daylight. At 5:33 p.m., 911 calls started flooding in. A shooting, a pedestrian down. First responders from the Bibb County Sheriff's Office arrived fast. EMS got there fast. But fast doesn't always mean in time. They found Teagan in the road and rushed her by ambulance to the ICU at Atrium Health Navicent in extremely critical condition. And Delmar? He was already gone. Fled the scene in his silver Buick Enclave the moment those shots left his gun. Just gone. Think about that for a second. He shot the woman he called his girlfriend, watched her run into traffic, and drove away. Now here's what I need you to understand about Teagan before we go any further. She wasn't just a name in a police report. She had twin niece and nephew Keegan and Cody, a niece named Zoe. More kids in that family who needed her: Corey, Collie, Kensington, Connie. She showed up for those kids. She was that person in the family. And while she lay in that ICU fighting for her life, the man who put her there was somewhere out in Macon, still armed, still moving. Deputies had a description: yellow t-shirt, dark pants, silver Buick Enclave. That was it. But Delmar Black hadn't disappeared, not yet. And what he did next when deputies finally caught up to him is the part that tells you everything about who this man really is. 2 hours. That's how long Delmar Black managed to stay ghost after shooting Teagan Jones in that Circle K parking lot. At 7:35 p.m., patrol deputies spotted his silver Buick Enclave parked at the Marathon gas station on 5013 Harrison Road, about 5 miles from where he left Teagan bleeding in the street. They approached the vehicle. Delmar pulled out his gun, ignored every command, and floored it. So now you've got a pursuit south on Harrison Road, and deputies made a decision. They executed a PIT maneuver south of Chambers Road. For anyone who doesn't know, that's a precision technique where a patrol car makes controlled contact with a fleeing vehicle to spin it out and stop it. It worked. The Buick was disabled. But Delmar didn't get out. He locked himself inside that SUV and started shooting at the officers surrounding him. Now I know what you're thinking. How does a man shoot his girlfriend, flee across the city, and still have the nerve to open fire on a SWAT perimeter? Let me tell you exactly who Delmar Black is. His first recorded arrest was May 2009, 18 years old, theft by taking, Turner County, Georgia. That was the beginning of a paper trail that followed him for over 15 years, right up to the active warrants that were already out for him the morning he woke up on the 7th of June 2026. This wasn't a man who made one bad decision in a parking lot. This was a pattern. Back on Harrison Road, the Bibb County SWAT team arrived. EOD unit, crisis negotiators. They locked down the perimeter and spent over 90 minutes trying to talk him out of that vehicle peacefully. He wasn't interested in peaceful. At 9 p.m., SWAT breached the vehicle and pulled Delmar Black out in custody. Deputies recovered the handgun. Delmar was treated for minor injuries on the scene. Minor injuries? After everything he'd just done, he was hospitalized under guard, and while he lay in that hospital bed, Teagan Jones was still in the ICU at Atrium Health Navicent, still fighting. But here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. The charges they booked him on that night, they were about to get a whole lot heavier. And the reason why will hit you harder than anything else in this story.
He was identified as Delmar Black, 35-year-old male of Macon. Now, paramedics responded to the scene to treat him of his injuries. So the investigation at this time is still ongoing. The status of the victim in the case is still critical at this time.
Deputies confirm Black is the suspect in a shooting that happened around 5:30 this evening at a gas station off of Mercer University Drive. Now, 2 hours later, investigators say they found his car at a different gas station on Harrison Road. When deputies tried to take him into custody, they say Black drove away. Deputies then immobilized his car on Harrison Road. Authorities say Black refused to get out of the vehicle and shot at deputies while still inside his car. Then just after 9 p.m., the SWAT team arrested him.
The 9th of June, 2026. 2 days after the shooting, Delmar Black was discharged from the hospital and walked, or rather, was escorted into the Bibb County Law Enforcement Center. The charges at booking: aggravated assault on law enforcement officers, and felony fleeing. Serious charges, but not the most serious ones available. Not yet, because Teagan Jones was still alive. For 5 days, she fought in that ICU. 5 days of machines and monitors, and her family holding on to whatever hope they could find. Her sister, Michelle, her brothers, Michael and Malachi, the aunts, the uncles, the kids who needed her to come home. 5 days. On Friday, the 12th of June, 2026, at 8:22 p.m., Teagan Jones was pronounced dead. Her family notified investigators. And just like that, the Bibb County District Attorney's Office upgraded the primary charge against Delmar Black to felony murder. Now here is where this case gets legally important, and I need you to follow this closely. Some people here would say, she was hit by a car, and think, well, that wasn't Delmar's fault. A third party did that. Georgia law disagrees. Completely. Under the doctrine of proximate cause, when you force someone to run for their life and they die as a direct result of that flight, that death is on you. Teagan didn't choose to run into traffic. She ran because a man with a gun was shooting her. Her running was the only logical response to what he was doing. The law sees that clearly. Delmar Black caused her death. Full stop. Now, I promised you a safety tip at the start of this video, and I meant it. If you are in a relationship where your partner has a criminal history, they've hidden from you, controls who you talk to, or has ever made you feel afraid to leave, that is not a rough patch. That is a threat to your life. Tell someone you trust. Contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Make a plan before you need one. Because Teagan ran when she had no other choice. You deserve to have a choice long before it gets to that point. Delmar Tavares Eugene Black is currently sitting in the Bibb County Law Enforcement Center. No bond, nowhere to go. The charges stacked against him now: felony murder, aggravated assault on law enforcement officers, and felony fleeing. And that's just Bibb County. Turner County has already placed a detainer on him, meaning the moment this homicide case resolves in Macon, he gets transferred back to face whatever is waiting for him there too. The system is doing what the system does. But I want to be honest with you, because I think you can handle honesty. The law can prosecute, it can convict, it can put a man in a cell for the rest of his life. What it cannot do is walk back into the 7th of June, 2026 and put Teagan Jones in a different parking lot. It cannot give Keegan and Cody their aunt back. It cannot give Zoe, Corey, Kali, Kensington, and Connie the woman who showed up for them. That part doesn't get fixed in a courtroom. What this case does do is show us something we need to sit with. Domestic violence doesn't announce itself. It doesn't show up one day fully formed. It builds, slowly, behind closed doors, through control and fear and 100 small moments that people around the victim either didn't see or saw and said nothing. Somebody in Delmar Black's life knew who he was. Somebody always does. So to Teagan's family, Michelle, Michael, Malachi, and every child who called her auntie, this channel sees you. The world should know her name, and we're going to make sure it does. Stories like Teagan's deserve witnesses, not just headlines. If this moved you even slightly, share it. You never know whose life that share might reach. To everyone who made it to the end, thank you for watching, for your attention, and for joining us on this journey of reflection. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and above all, stay safe. See you on our next video.